The Minnesota Timberwolves defeated the Denver Nuggets 119 to 114 to even up the series 1-1. The series will now head back to Minnesota. So it'll get pretty interesting from this point forward. I definitely feel that. But I had to say, this game was probably the best game I've seen of the whole entire playoffs so far. I really enjoyed this matchup. It was a lot of fun. You had two heavyweight teams just going at it. I feel both of these teams are very close. Talent wise, there's not really too much of an edge on either side, I feel. Granted, Denver has a home court advantage, and you could say Denver has the best player in Jokic, but Anthony Edwards is no pushover for sure. When he's on, he can challenge anybody in the league, and I think this game is an example of that. And so it was very fun to watch. I definitely enjoyed it, especially the second half, just the back and forth between both of these teams where I felt neither team was really in control of the game in the second half. That's why you had so many lead changes. But to start out the game, Denver jumped out on the Timberwolves. They had like a 19-point lead sometime in the first half, I think in the second quarter. And it just didn't look good for the Timberwolves. When they were down by 19, you would think that they were going to easily lose the game. Denver's at home. Everything is going their way. Anthony Edwards does not look like Anthony Edwards. There was one play in the first half where Jokic struck Anthony Edwards' knee. I don't think it was deliberate. He was just trying to swipe for the ball, and he ended up hitting his knee. And Anthony Edwards was in some pain. You could tell he was limping a bit. He was slow for the next few possessions, and I actually wondered if he could finish the game. But eventually, after those few possessions, he got it back together, got back into the game, and started to play better. And he had better motion throughout the game, started to improve as the game progressed. You could tell still he's not at 100% because I've noticed when he attacks the basket, he gets these finishes, these layups. But if he's healthy, I feel some of these drives to the hoop would have resulted in dunks. But in this case, he just settled for layups. But either way, he was really big in this game. Even though he didn't shoot well, 10 of 25 from the field, he only shot 40%, but he hit some timely baskets when his team really needed it. He was able to get to the hole, get fouled, get some free throws. So to me, that was really big. That was just really huge for the Timberwolves. But going back to this game, I felt once the Nuggets built that 19-point lead, they got too comfortable. They got really complacent, and the Wolves were just really gritty. They kept on fighting back. They hung in this game, and they eventually started chomping at that lead. And heading into halftime, they were able to tie the game. They came back very quickly, which was incredible. Halftime is only if the score was 64-64. So you kind of knew once they were tied at halftime, this game could go either way, and it would be decided in the final few minutes of the game, which actually ended up happening. But going to the second half, I don't think either team really controlled the game, that there was a ton of lead changes, and it was really going to come down in my eyes to which team made the least amount of mistakes in the final few minutes of the game. And that team was obviously the Timberwolves, but I don't think either team really had full control of this game, which shows you how competitive this series is going to be as it progresses, that it's going to be a difficult series for either team. And it's going to take making smart plays when it really matters, making, like I said, the least amount of mistakes. That's what's going to come down to. But I will say this, that Minnesota was able to get key defensive stops when they really needed them. They held the Nuggets to 44% shooting overall from the field. And the Nuggets' three-point shot shooting wasn't bad. It was 37%, but the Wolves just shot better at 41%. So that shows you how close this game was. Wolves shot 48%, and I think that's something that should be talked about, the Wolves shooting a good percentage overall from the field. A lot of that has to do with Denver's lack of rim protection. I think that's one of the weaknesses the Timberwolves can expose in this series, is how Jokic is not a good rim protector, and the Nuggets don't have anybody that can protect the rim, whether it's Jokic, Gordon, or Valanciunas. Those guys are just not ever going to be great rim protectors, and the Wolves have guys that can attack the basket like Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels. They have Io Dosunamu. I can't say his name, but if you watch the game, you know who I'm talking about. Io is pretty good at getting to the hole, and then you have Julius Randle, who can get post ups in the paint and get easy baskets attacking the rim. So they have like four guys who can really attack the basket and cause problems. And actually, Naz Reid is another guy you got to factor in. So you have like five guys that can do that. It just makes them very dangerous. And there's really no resistance the Nuggets can really give for rim protection. So I think that's gonna be a problem throughout the series where they're not going to really be able to protect the paint, and they'll have to focus on perimeter defense, being good at those switches. But if Minnesota ever gets openings to attack the basket, they're definitely going to be screwed in those switches whenever they get the opportunities. I think that's their biggest Achilles heel when facing the Timberwolves in this series. But just going back to the game, I felt in the final few minutes of the game that's when it was really decided. It was an intense few minutes where both teams were really making stupid plays, doing dumb turnovers, just questionable stuff that neither team could really put the dagger into the other team's heart. And it got down to really the final 49 seconds. If you just look at what happened, just the sequence, let me just pull up something here. I'm just going to pull up the play-by-play on ESPN and just go over exactly what happened those final 49 seconds. I'm just scrolling down here. Yep. So, yeah, going back to the final 49 seconds, what was interesting, the Wolves were up 115 to 111 with a minute and 5 seconds left. Then Jokic immediately posts up and just throws a dunk right down on Gobert, cuts the lead down to 2, and then the Wolves get the ball again. Anthony Edwards travels, and that's where it gets very interesting. He travels with 30 seconds left in the game. He gets angry, and he holds the ball. Jokic comes up behind him and just grabs it ferociously from him, and they get tangled up, and both of them shove each other, and they get separated. They had some words. The refs didn't give any technicals. They just let it go on both sides. So that was very interesting. And afterwards, Anthony Edwards, he obviously lost the ball. They called it traveling, and then the Nuggets, they get the ball and they're down by 2, and Julius Randle fouls Christian Braun, who had an opening for an easy basket, and it was a good foul he committed. It stopped the easy bucket. Christian Braun has to make 2 free throws to tie the game. He misses the first free throw. He makes the second one, but the Wolves are up by 1 then. They get the ball, and then Julius Randle gets fouled. He actually stepped up to the line and he made both of them. They go up 117 to 114, and after that, Jamal Murray pulls up with a mid-range jump shot with 11 seconds left in the game, with them being down by 3. He tries to do a quick pull-up shot, and he misses. Wolves get the rebound, and then they get a dunk right in garbage time, and they win the game. So it was really that close. It could have easily gone the other way had Braun made his free throws. Maybe they go to overtime, and suddenly it's a different game. So that shows you how close the series is going to be. I think we'll see games that have these type of thrilling finishes, because I don't think either team can really dominate the other one. So it's going to be like coin flips, I feel, throughout the series. I wouldn't be surprised that after 4 games it's tied 2-2. I could see Denver winning a hard-fought game in Minnesota, whether it's game 3 or 4. I would be shocked if they go down 3-1. That really would shock me. So I think this thing could go all the way to 7, but it was a very, very entertaining game. I enjoyed watching it, and I look forward to seeing more entertaining games in the series. This might be the best first-round series out of all the matchups that are currently going on, but, we'll see.